Over the last few years of being a creator, shooting videos, reviewing tech, trying out new gear, I've definitely bought my fair share of stuff that I thought I needed, but didn't. Some of it turned out to be a waste of money. Some of it, absolute game changers I use every single day. So today, let's talk about both. What not to buy as a beginner and what gear I actually think is worth investing in when you are just starting out. Fair warning, these are just my experiences and yours might differ. The first one would have to be gimbals or sliders. Although they look cool, they make you definitely look professional and it gives you a certain level of smooth footage. But here's the truth, I rarely use mine and I had it for over a year now, but I've rarely used it. Especially with a Pocket 3 and even other cameras, right? Most modern cameras have great in-body stabilization. And honestly, that slightly handheld look, it feels more natural, especially on YouTube. Don't get me wrong, I love stabilized footage, especially when it's coming straight off the camera. But phone is giving stabilized enough footage. And cameras like ZV-E1 as well as Panasonic Lumix S9 and all the other, I believe, Panasonic cameras do have fantastic stability. So unless you're shooting cinematic content for a particular client or you're chasing some action scene where you would need that extra level of stability, save your gimbal money. But sometimes you just want to look professional, that you know what you're doing. And especially for a client that might be more of a visual aid that you need to show off that you know how to operate a gimbal, you know how to work your camera, and that sort of thing gives certain level of confidence in your clients that you know what you're doing and the work would be at least good enough. The next big thing is ND filters, especially in the beginning. Okay, I know the film purists, you would have to take it easy. ND filters are helpful, I'm not denying it. When you want that perfect motion blur, only then. But if you're just learning, just play around with shutter speed and ISO. Even shoot your videos in A mode or aperture priority mode, and that sorts out most of your cinematic settings as far as keeping that amazing bokeh but adjusting your shutter speed and ISO to give you that sort of blurry background while maintaining a decent amount of details. For most vlogging style or indoor videos, you won't miss a ND filter at all. In fact, for pure beginners, I might even suggest that just start and focus on your content creation and use auto mode on the cameras. Well, the next one would have to be camera cages. Cages are one of those things that look professional. But why? I use mine more as a protective shell than a tool. I didn't use any mounts, although it gave me a satisfaction that I'm protecting my gear, but it sort of beats the point of buying a light camera like ZV-E10 Mark II or even a ZV-E1, because putting on a cage makes them heavy enough for me to buy something else which would have been cheaper or better. So again, leave the cage for the times when you are rigging your camera for shoots or a client work. Till then, let your camera breathe. Well, the next one would have to be drones, especially FPV drones. I know they look amazing. I even bought one and sold it before the warranty ran out. Well, it had a steep learning curve and could be a bottomless pit of money depending on how much you want to sort of customize it, how much you want to learn about FPV and where you sort of flying it. And then there's rules, regulations and legislations around where you can fly. You cannot fly FPV alone, you need a spotter, and there's a lot of hassle and wrestle that goes around with it. Cool for once in a while shots, but for beginners, get a standard drone. More on that in a bit. Well, moving on to what you should actually buy. Well, the first thing I would recommend is buy a compact camera. Something like a DJI Pocket 3 is brilliant. It's small, powerful, and yet it teaches you some of the manual settings like setting up your ISO, aperture, even shutter speed. And the best part, it does have an inbuilt gimbal, which means you don't need to spend money, time, and learn the skill of balancing a gimbal, and you can still use your DJI Pocket 3 to do some gimbal moves. And it's pretty good. Plus, you'll know quickly if this creator life is for you before upgrading to an interchangeable lens system, or to maybe 4 of them. The next thing is a lightweight drone. Because in most countries, there's a legislation around if your drone is less than 250 grams, then you don't have to register it with the authority. So my current pick would be a DJI Mini 3 or Mini 3 Pro. or even Mini 4 Pro. They are under 250 grams, meaning few restrictions, but still packs amazing features. It even tracks your subject, and you can track your car, you can track yourself, and do a lot of cool stuff. And that adds instant cinematic feel to your videos. Totally worth it. The next thing I would say is a amazing or a reliable microphone system. Whether it's a shotgun mic or a wireless setup like DJI Mic 2 or a DJI Mic Mini, it's a must-have. People will forget or forgive video hiccups, but if your audio is bad, then they just click off. And wireless mics are so easy now. Just take it out, clip it on, and you're good to go. Well, the next thing would have to be a solid light setup. If you're not using a huge studio, one soft light can totally transform your videos. I'm using a Neewer FS150B light with a softbox for last couple of weeks, and it's powerful and reliable, much more than what I need. Well, lighting improves your content way more than any lens or any camera ever will. In fact, I have a Xeon X60 RGB light as well that gives me that help of learning new ways to light, because that's very portable and comes with a rechargeable battery, which means even if I have to use that light outside, I'm more than happy as well as able to do it. And the last thing would have to be a tripod that you actually want to carry. And I would say don't go for the cheapest one you can find on Amazon. Get something portable, sturdy, quick to set up. I recently picked up this small rig tripod before going to New Zealand. It really served me well. It was easy to set up, and since it's carbon fiber, it's light enough, which means I was able to sort of take it around on my trip without feeling too much hassle. And I've been in a scenario where I almost dropped my cameras enough times to know this matters more than anything else, especially for a single person YouTube content creator channel. Well, before we move on, I'll give you a bonus tip or bonus accessory which I think you should know about. It's the editing software called DaVinci Resolve. And since we're talking about spending money, I'm talking about DaVinci Resolve Studio version. Well, if you really want to learn how to edit and you want that control as a creator on how your editing works, how you are editing your content as a business, then you should explore and start with DaVinci Resolve free version, because that gives you most of the features that the paid version would. But saying that, well, get DaVinci Resolve Studio if you want to learn how to edit, and if you want that control over that editing aspect of your business. If that's not you, that's all right. You can start with the free version, or if you're thinking about getting an editor to begin with or starting from the day one from your journey, then that's altogether another story. But I've been using the DaVinci Resolve Studio version, and it saved me a lot of time and hassle to create content, especially when it comes to the new AI features. And the best part, even for the paid version, you just have to pay it once, and it's lifetime subscription. It's not even subscription, it's more like you got lifetime access to the studio features as well as all the upgrade that it brings. Well, at the end of the day, it's easy to get into the gear rabbit hole. I've done it too, chasing the next shiny thing, and then the next, and then the next, and so on. But honestly, the best investment is learning in your craft. Gear helps, sure it does, but don't forget, you're the storyteller. So I would say start small, upgrade slow, and enjoy the process. If this helped in any way, drop a comment with the gear you regret buying, or the gear you stand by. I would actually love to know that. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all those nice things. And I'll see you in the next one.